is 6 p.m. So we can go ahead and call this meeting to order for the February 5th regular board meeting. If you will all please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Share my screen. I have a flag for you.
Okay, we will wait until that comes up.
I'm sharing, but it should be shared. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
You see it?
No, yes, thank you. If you all please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all. Navigate back to my agenda. And now we would like to do the land acknowledgement. We honor and respect that we gather on the ancestral lands of the Stillaguamish people and the Snohomish people and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. This is the land where they have lived since time immemorial, and they are still here today where they work, raise their children, and care for their community. They continue to practice their traditions and speak the Lushootseed language just as their ancestors did. May each of our children find their place and contribute to their communities and families. Together, we will make this a better world for our children. And before moving into the agenda, I did want to acknowledge that Director Gotts is excused from this evening's meeting. And we do have 2 agenda item changes that we will need to vote on due to the change in the meeting format for this evening. We will be moving the peak performer, which is a part of our presentations, to the February 19th meeting, along with the Lakewood High School school report. So the ask for the action item is to remove those 2 items from this evening's agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda with those 2 modifications?
I make a motion to approve the agenda with those 2 recommendations.
A second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, nay. That motion is unanimously passed to adopt the updated agenda. I do want to call out that this meeting is being recorded and will be available on board docs for the public to view at a later date for those that are not able to attend this evening. And we will move into request to be heard and public comment. The board recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of involving members of the public in its meetings. In order to permit fair and orderly expression of such comment, the board will provide a period at the beginning of the meeting during which visitors present to the board. The time allowed is 3 minutes. The board respectfully requests that comments be relevant, appropriate, and not be personally directed. To limit disruption and aid in timely public comment portion of the meeting, we require virtual attendees who wish to make a public comment to pre-register online prior to the board meeting. Complete the online form found on the school board's page of the district website by 3 p.m. on the meeting date. Renee, do we have anyone signed up to provide online public comment this evening? All right, thank you. And now we will move into consent agenda. To expedite business at a school board meeting, the board approves the use of consent agenda, which includes those items considered to be routine in nature. Documentation concerning these items has been provided to all board members and the public in advance to assure an extensive and thorough review. Items may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any board member. This is an action item.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is unanimously passed. Thank you. And now we will move into student report. Amelia and Saya.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Um, I'll just start off with my elementary school and then I'll let Amelia do hers. Okay. So, for LES, the students had a meaningful MLK assembly on the 18th or something. And then they shared some of the history and highlights of MLK Jr.'s life. And then it was led by the student body with several songs, and both students and teachers performed a reader's theater. And they had their instructional happy hour on the week of the 22nd. And it was focused on ways to incorporate AI into their everyday work lives. And then two of their teachers led the session, and everyone came away with incredible ideas of how to incorporate the latest technology. And that's all for my elementary schools.
The middle school, they had their MLK assembly on the 14th of January, and they welcomed James Lehman, and they said it was a great assembly. They also started co-ed wrestling and girls basketball on the 21st. They had a winter social on Friday the 24th, and there was dancing, crafts, movies, and fun. They've been holding a competition between the 3 grade levels where classes are measured on 5 things, and the winning class gets to use their phones at lunch during the last week of the semester. At the time this was sent, 6th and 8th graders are neck to neck for the first place, and the classes were measured on best attendance, fewest tardies, best lunchroom behavior, cleanest lunchroom, and most cougar cash turned in. And that's all for my update.
Okay, so for the high school, we had our career cabinet meeting on, I think it was the 22nd, and it was kind of our mid-year career cabinet time. So we came up with our priorities, and then we shared them along with primary and secondary students. So we got to hear all the ideas from not just from high schoolers, but also in preschools. And it was like super fun to hear all those ideas. And sports, we have wrestling districts that's going to be happening at Lakewood for the first time, I believe. And I'm pretty sure lots of help will be needed. And I think the basketball boys are going to playoffs. I do not know what days, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like,
Our first game should probably be the 13th.
yeah, that's what I heard. And
To
it
be
was like,
determined, but should be the 13th and hopefully at home.
yes.
And districts just got pushed out a week for wrestling too. So it's going to be Friday and Saturday of next week, not this week because of the weather.
Oh,
That's annoying.
So,
And Unified is doing really good. Oh my God, my computer's gonna die. Okay. Unified is doing really good. I think the last game they had was, I think it was the one that was on the 22nd was against Arlington, and then they won. So they're doing really good. And for band, we have less than a couple weeks to go to Disneyland, and it's gonna be really fun. And we're already having our rehearsals. They got canceled because of the snow, but we'll be looking for them next week. Daryl, he retired at the end of the semester, so now he's not there anymore. It's really sad. But we now have our new custodian. I believe her name is Ernestina. And for MLK, we had also James Lehman be our speaker, and then three members from the Black Student Union were the MCs for that, and they did really well on their assembly. I'm not sure what else to add on there. Do you have anything, Amelia?
No, I think that's good.
question about the new custodian did she already work for the school district? Is she just got reassigned?
Yeah, she just got reassigned, but she's been already working, but
Okay.
working in the
I know who
district
that is
before.
then.
Yeah.
I was just
I
curious.
believe that she's
And
like
my
a
interactions with her have been amazing, so I hope
Yeah.
that's a good career opportunity for her.
yeah.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. And thank you for that report on the snow day. All right. And now we will move to the superintendent report, Dr. Murphy.
All right, well, good evening. A huge thank you to everyone for your willingness to pivot to our online mode. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank our staff, our students, our families, and our greater community for their flexibility throughout these last couple of days. I think that the weather is challenging would be the understatement. It is ever-changing, dynamic environment. And so we continue to do our best to assess, the conditions and what we need to do to really ensure that everyone is safe. And so we always are looking like, are we able to have school? What would that look like? And then also, though, making sure that, safety is our paramount importance. And so it'd be great if it's a really clear-cut decision. As of yet, those are far and few between. So every day, do our best. And I'm grateful for the team that we have that takes on that challenge in the morning. So with that, I'll jump into my report. And it's funny, it's amazing. I look back to January and I think of sun. I think of we had just beautiful weather, and January was it was a packed event. So packed month. So if we could transition to the next slide, some things I would love to highlight. Just first and foremost, a huge recognition. So Christina Peterson is a science and leadership teacher at Lakewood High School. She also is deeply involved in just student activities and supports our students in leadership and with our ASB. And so Christina was selected by the VFW as not only post 1561, but also this whole regional district high school teacher of the year. So it was, very deserved recognition. She does a wonderful job and really believes in not only empowering our students, but being right there alongside to ensure that they have the ability to advocate for what they feel is right, and really I think just supporting the great work that's happening in our high schools. So this was a wonderful, wonderful recognition. Again, the VFW is looking for teachers who really are inspiring our students to serve and to lead. And so I think she was a great candidate and a wonderful recipient for this award. So this is just a couple pictures from that regional district award. They recognized her a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday at their post in Everett. Also, definitely of recognition and award are three of our members of our high school band, Elliot Borello, Alec Clark, and Lucas Gibb. They're pictured there with a wonderful Miss Katie Trapp. And so they were selected for Northwest Honor Band. And not only were they selected for this wonderful honor, but while attending, they all placed well in the top 30% for their instrument group. So again, this is it's kind of like a select group, and that pyramid keeps on narrowing. And so just huge kudos of thanks to them. And just really for all of our student musicians, and whether that is through playing an instrument or through choral, we are just truly fortunate to have such a rich arts program in our school district and at the high school. Featured, we've had a couple things, actually. We've had a couple mentions of, I'm going to start with the Lakewood Middle School's MLK Junior Assembly. So again, James Lehman from AWSL was able to join us on 2 different dates, which is wonderful, to really work with our student leaders to craft assemblies to really get to the heart of that message of what MLK Junior, our celebrations are all about. And so he did a beautiful job. I was able to attend the one at the middle school, and what you can't see pictured, and which is a huge testament to just the power of the message, is complete attention that is being given by hundreds of middle schoolers to a very powerful message. So he just a beautiful job of presenting, and we were fortunate to have him be able to join us for this important celebration. Also pictured there is, you see some beautifully appropriate winter math and math and art activities occurring in Becky Bartlett's CCE kindergarten class. And so I was able to swing by there a couple weeks ago, and so they were doing a couple different things. One was they were doing some mitten art where they were actually working on warm and cool colors, but also in looking at kind of different geometric shapes within there and trying to create patterns and do patterns with color and different, and then again with different warm and cool tones in different parts of the paper. And so it was really great to watch students helping one another, not only with but also looking at the patterns and ideas about how to complete that. They also sang me their snowman math song, and so they were so they have these beautiful snowmen, and they were reenacting it at the same time. So it was great to see math in action and kind of a dramatic interpretation of it, and they had a lot of fun. So very, very great math skills and pretty impressive because it was all about subtraction, which is again for kindergarten as well. Like it was really impressive to watch them just having such fun and joy in learning. Moving on, we have again reference. We've had a couple different bigger meetings. We had our third strategic direction meeting. Huge thank you to all of the members of our community, a number of who are on our screen here as well, who are serving our strategic direction committee and our work group. So here you see the meeting from January 14th and just really robust discussion. So we are really to that point where there is a definition for each one of our foundational pillars. Goals are being solidified. And unfortunately, we had to cancel last night's meeting due to inclement weather. Definitely the theme of the week. But we do have one remaining scheduled meeting, which is on February 25th. And so we are feeling optimistic that we're going to be able to actually wrap up our entire kind of draft creation of that draft process and that meeting. And so for all the members, we'll be sending out some emails soon to kind of make sure that date is on the calendar, and just really appreciative for just a powerful group of just vested community members to do this really important work of looking at the next 5 years, the future for our district. And then Saya mentioned as well, on the 22nd of January, we had our third Cougar Cabinet meeting of the year. It was a great meeting. It really was powerful conversation. We did this once last year, and I feel like even this year, the conversations were more robust. And so we opened with some icebreakers, which is kind of what how we usually launch all of our meetings. We had an opportunity for every school group to get together to really kind of solidify what are the key things we've been working on, and then continue to discuss kind of their priorities and the next steps they want to take. And then we did, like Isaiah referenced, we got into mixed groups. And so we had a couple members from every school number off. So all the ones went to one group. So every group had members from every single school. So they had not only grade representation across, but they also had school representation. And then they were able to share, like, here's our priorities, here's what we're working on. And so really nice cross-district collaboration and discussion. And then again, we had our podcast that was recorded after, and a huge thanks to Saya and Riley for doing that. As we look ahead to February is one of those unique months that feels like it just zooms on by. Obviously, when I created the presentation, there was a game tonight too that has unfortunately will be rescheduled. But tomorrow we have currently scheduled that we have boys basketball at home. As we look towards the coming weeks, we have a board retreat and a meeting on the 19th. It's in spring sports at the high school are right around the corner. So while it's snowing outside, the spring is on its way. So spring sports start on the 24th. We have our final kind of committee strategic direction meeting as referenced on the 25th. And the Lakewood High School Spring Horse Fair is scheduled for the 27th. February is also a month full of observances. So February is Black History Month. Within this month, we have specific observances. So right now we are in the midst of National School Counseling Week. As we look to next week, we have National FCCLA Week. Valentine's Day is next Friday. The following week is National FFA Week. Also, we have President's Day. And on the 22nd, we have School Bus Driver Appreciation Day. That is my report.
Thank you. All right, let me navigate back to my agenda. And now we will move into new business. And we will start with the 24-25 Transitional Bilingual Instructional Program, TBIP, with Lynn Conkle. Lynn, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes, thank you.
Here you are. Thank you.
School board, good evening, everyone. School board approval of the Transitional Bilingual Instruction Program, the TBIP, is required annually. The attached grant application includes a description of Lakewood's program demographics, service model and services, program evaluation improvement plan, and professional learning plan. We are currently serving 173 students in our elementary schools and 170 students in our middle and high schools. Our 2 MLL teachers receive support from our participation in the MLL cooperative through the ESD and with a consultant whose expertise is in supporting our learners in Tier 1 instruction. Do you have any questions for me this evening?
I assume this is something that we renew every year.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. The attached application, I believe it's 28 pages. We do it every year, and I complete it in the fall.
Thank you. Are there any other questions before we move to action on this item? No. All right, so this is an action item.
I will move for the approval of the 24-25 Transitional Bilingual Instruction Program as presented.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is unanimously passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next we have the the revised board policy 5010, non-discrimination and affirmative action, second reading, Dr. Murphy.
All right, good evening. So for second reading, I have policy 5010. I know that that's been shared with you. This is an encouraged policy, and we actually recently updated this back in October of 2024. And the first reading of the updated draft occurred in our January 15th meeting. During the first reading, there were no edits or changes that were suggested. So I do recommend approval of updated draft policy 5010, non-discrimination and affirmative action.
Thank
Make a
you.
motion to approve revised board policy 5010, non-discrimination and affirmative action as presented.
Second.
Any additional questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is unanimously passed. Thank you. Now we have revised board policy 3424, opioid-related overdose reversal. Second reading, Gwen Grubb. I believe Renee will allow those that are presenting to speak.
I don't see Gwen on here.
I see her in the attendees list.
Okay, let me.
I don't see her either. If that
Maybe-
helps at all.
Is she left?
I see her, she's halfway
Oh, there
down.
she is.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Like I swear I'm here. Okay, so let me get to my page here. I am not technically savvy. Let's see here. So this is the second reading of Board Policy 3424, opioid related overdose reversal. And this was updated in October of 24. So this is to match updated information. Last time it was read, there was no questions or suggested edits. So I'm hoping for approval.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding this policy since our last meeting?
For me.
All right. This is an action item.
I make a motion to approve the revised board policy 3424. 2024 opioid-related overdose reversal.
I second.
All right, any additional comments? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is unanimously passed. Thank you, Gwen.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and now we have new board policy 4050 data sharing with local tribes, second reading, Christina Bowman.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, this is the second reading of Board Policy 4050, data sharing with local tribes. This will establish a means of data sharing between school districts and local tribes. There's not currently an agreement, but this provides a framework for future agreements. There are no changes from the first reading.
Are there any additional questions since our last meeting regarding this policy? All right, this is an action item.
I make a
I
motion.
make a motion to, oh,
I make a motion to approve the new board policy 4050 data sharing with local tribes.
I second.
Any additional comments? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is unanimously passed. Thank you. Next, we have new board policy 4500 unmanned aircraft system and model aircraft, second reading, Christina Bowman.
This is the second reading. There are some changes from the first reading on this policy. I looked into some of the insurance and added some paragraphs about the insurance that would be required with this. And I also was able to get a hold of someone at the airport. And even though we are in uncontrolled airspace, we would be able to notify the airport and they could create a notice of air mission that would prevent other aircraft from occupying the airspace during the time that we would have or that someone had requested to have a drone on our campus. And there are also a few other things about recreational drones that were not in the previous version. Are there any questions about the changes or about anything in the policy?
I appreciate the due diligence put into looking at some of those other items after the last meeting and adding in those additional parameters to the policy. Are there any additional questions regarding this one? All right, this is an action item.
All right, I make a motion to approve new board policy 4500 unmanned aircraft system and model aircraft as presented.
I'll second.
Any additional comments? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is unanimously passed. Thank you. And next we have revised board policy 3210, non-discrimination, first reading. Director Haynes.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great.
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. So this evening provided for your review is the updated Essential Policy 3210, non-discrimination. And this policy has not been revised in nearly a decade. WASTA has updated this policy to ensure greater alignment with, let's see here, current rules and regulations statute so that it reflects legal changes and to enhance clarity and accessibility for its users. These rules and guidelines clarify what Lakewood must do to eliminate discrimination in both our educational programs and the workplace, primarily through a robust and consistent communication and training campaign. Specifically, the changes that are before you this evening in policy 3210 are changes around the language about Lakewood's obligation to adopt model student handbook language, which is now required by state statute. And thank you to Christina, who has been on top of that for a while now. So we have been current on that. Additionally, 3210 now describes discriminatory harassment and how a school district should respond to potential discriminatory harassment, of course, promptly and appropriately to end the harassment, prevent its reoccurrence, and remedy its effects. Examples to obtain this might be through imposing discipline, separating individuals, developing safety plans, offering counseling, and appropriate interventions as necessary. Lastly, 3210 has been reorganized to help folks that are accessing the policy better understand how the complaint process works. And looking at the administrative procedures, it is the first significant section of that component. I'll pause and see if there are any questions from anyone here this evening.
I was just curious, I saw age has been struck from this policy. Is that covered for discrimination in another area, or is it no longer?
Can you, Leah, direct me to what you're referencing, please?
In the definition of protected status is a short phrase. It struck age and marital status as two items that were being removed but not updated.
Correct.
So age is not considered, is that just not considered protected status, but is still considered under non-discrimination?
You know, those are, I at this moment will have to get back to you to seek clarity on why those have been struck and the direction that we are going. So let me note this. You said age, and secondly, what else, please?
I
Marital
think
status?
marital status. I don't know if that one.
Great
was
questions, and I'll
moved
get
somewhere
back to you
else.
on that.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions that I can address? Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. That was informational. We will see that one come back at a later date. And next we have revised board policy 2110, transitional bilingual instruction program, first and final. Lynn Conkle.
Thank you. For your review is a draft of Board Policy 2110, which was last updated November 2nd, 2011. This is an encouraged policy and part of the 2000 series, which relates to instruction with procedures. Policy 2110 pertains to providing equitable education opportunities for students with limited English proficiency. Specifically, it focuses on implementing and maintaining a transitional bilingual instruction program to support students whose primary language is not English. The goal is to help these students achieve English language competency, ensuring they fully participate in the educational curriculum. This is the policy that's connected to the application that I presented just a little earlier here. The changes to this policy are minimal. For example, capitalization was not used when referencing transitional bilingual instruction program. Do you have any questions for me about this policy?
Are there any questions regarding this one? All right, this one is an action item for first and final.
I make a motion to approve revised board policy 2110, transitional bilingual instruction program.
Second.
All right, any additional comments? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion is unanimously passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have revised board policy 6905, site acquisition, first reading, Dr. Murphy.
So for your review tonight, we have policy 6905. This is a discretionary policy and was most recently updated in July of 2017. It's part of that 6000 series, which pertains to management support and procedures. Policy 6905 really speaks to the process by which the district works to evaluate the land inventory, solicit professional appraisals, and acquire land if needed. The updates to the policy were minimal, with the majority of them being grammatical and updated legal references. Most noteworthy of updates include the investigation of a school sitting outside of an urban growth area and the district's requirement to comply with an application relocation assistance if needed. While there is, as we continue to move through our policy updates, we are kind of in that place of the 6,000 series related to some of the elements that pertain to capital projects. And this is the first of a series that we will be bringing for your review. At that point, if there's any questions that you have about this policy, I'd be happy to work to answer those.
Are there any questions regarding this first reading? All right, thank you. Next, we have revised procedure 3231P, student records, informational only. Dr. Murphy.
So following a trend that you're seeing some documents that you've actually seen in the recent past. And so I'm bringing an updated procedure 3231 for student records. Again, this procedure aligns with our current policy and was last updated in September of this year. The focus of this update, you'll notice, is actually pretty minimal and specific. You can identify it on, I guess it would be 1, 2, 3, and then on page 4. And so when it talks about other persons or organizations that can access student information, there are specific types of student information that is referred to as directory information. So this is information that families have an opportunity to opt out of, and it's kind of specific on what falls under directory information. A lot of families, really contemplate that, but the information is of wide variety. Specifically, the update that we've identified here would be removing and place of birth. So it would still say date of birth. So someone's birth date would be allowed, but not the location of their birth. So if there's any questions you have about the update to this policy or the procedure itself, I'd be happy to answer those.
Are there any questions regarding this procedure update? All right. Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Now we will go into board reports. Given the format, I will go down the line and just call and see if anyone has a report in the order in which I see you on my screen right now. So Director Larson, did you have any board reports this evening?
I do not have any board reports this evening.
All right. Director Kruger?
No, just been busy supporting facilities committee. I think the academic team, been at the school doing senior class activities as well. I think that's about it, but just kind of nothing out of the norm.
Thank you. Director Taylor?
Not a lot here either, other than basketball. As Saya mentioned earlier, the boys are hopefully, they are going to make it to the postseason, but hopefully they'll keep going a little bit after that. And we're hoping we get a game tomorrow, and we're making up a game on Saturday now. Last Saturday, actually, I and probably 7 of our football coaches also attended an all-day coaches clinic down in Thurston to start getting ready for the season that'll be here before you know it. That's about it for me.
Yeah, it's coming up fast.
Yeah.
It seems. All right, thank you. I was just going to, we did have a kickoff meeting for our annual audit with the state auditor's office recently in our finance committee meeting. So I know we'll see some of that coming up in the coming months. There has been a lot of activity with winter sports and senior nights, and it's fun to see that and watch as our students are getting ready to graduate and move on. And thank you to Dana, who has taken a big lead in organizing a lot of those senior nights, but providing concessions as well for all of the different events and being able to really make a presence. It's been fantastic. And I do also want to just acknowledge, I know this week has been challenging with the weather, Dr. Murphy and the transportation and all the staff and community. I know some of these decisions they're hard to make and they're not made lightly, and especially when it comes to canceling school or adjusting midway through the morning. And I appreciate all of the due diligence that's been put forward and really continuing to evaluate as the situation evolves and making the best decision for safety of our students, given the information that we have at the time. So thank you for that. And with that, we will move into an executive session unless there's any other final comments anyone has to add. Okay, so we will now move into executive session for 10 minutes, 15. Oh, Erin, you're muted.
I would say probably about 20.
20. Okay, we'll move into executive session for 20 minutes and we will reconvene at around 7 p.m. Thank you. And are we, yeah, we'll move into executive session.